Let me ask you something. What do you get when you mix special forces, a creepy mansion in the middle of the woods, horror, and zombies? You get one hell of a start to Capcom's highest selling franchise of all time. Today, in anticipation for the release of Resident Evil Requiem, I decided to go back to the roots of where it all started and get the Platinum Trophy. So, without further ado, let's get into it.
Resident Evil.
I decided that my first playthrough of this game was going to be with the boulder puncher himself, Chris Redfield. Although, admittedly, he looks a lot more twinkified. But not even a few minutes into this mission, things go sideways when we get ambushed by a bunch of demon dogs that causes him to have to escape and hide out in a creepy-ass mansion in the middle of the woods. Chris gets sent to investigate a noise that turns out to be a... Well, damn, that's not good. After Chris goes back to tell Wesker and Jill about what he found, he realizes that both of them have now disappeared, leaving only a handgun behind. From here, the game lets you loose to figure out the puzzle of getting around and eventually out of the mansion. I snagged the first two trophies of the run by killing that filthy... Wait, what's a slur for a zombie again? There we go. By killing that cunt, we earned the first trophy of the game. First kills are special, and it certainly was because I'm convinced this knife couldn't cut butter if both of them were heated. Look how many times it takes to kill this damn thing! Unfortunately, the next trophy I earned soon after was Get Used to It, which taught me two very important lessons. One, the knife is terrible, don't use it until you have to. And two, save your game from time to time, otherwise you run the risk of losing potentially hours of progress. So, we restart the timeline and try again. It had been a very long time since the last time I played this game with a couple of my friends for a YouTube channel we started way back in the day. But I did remember some steps of it to get going. The first of which being to grab an arrow on the second floor that you can take the tip off of to get into a crypt. This crypt holds the sword key on the latch of the back of a book. You then use that key to get access to a study or office area to grab a dog whistle. You blow that dog whistle to kill a demon dog to get a fake key out of his collar so you can get the real armor key from a pedestal. Then, with the sword and armor key, you go around the mansion collecting 4 masks. 2 of which are relatively easy because one, we use that big bag of chemicals we found on the east side of the map in this room to kill off evil hentai tentacles, and the other, you open this door and solve the night puzzle by looking it up on Google because the developers forgot to put a way to solve the puzzle in-game. Along the way, I managed to grab 2 other trophies, not taking chances and seeing red. One for using the kerosene and lighter to set a zombie on fire, and the other for killing my first Crimson Head, which is a zombie that mutates after you kill it, and either don't kill it with a headshot, or if you don't burn the body. After stumbling my way through all of that, I ran into Rebecca and Richard, the latter of which needing an antidote for a large snake bite he received. So, I quickly ran all the way over to where the antidote was, ran all the way back, only to realize I had forgotten to grab the damn antidote. So I ran all the way back, grabbed it, and then ran all the way back again, only for this bastard to die on me. Well, I can't help it now, I guess. Then, after a very, very embarrassing long series of events, seriously, I can't, I'm looking at the recording right now, I cannot believe how long it took me to figure this, to piece it together. I end up finding the missing pages to a music book for Rebecca to play, which allows me to get the golden emblem to use on the fireplace in the open dining area. This opens up the clock so you can manually move the hands, the correct position of which being 6 o'clock. Then a safe opens, then you get a key to access the attic where you can earn both the 3rd mask and the not waiting to exhale trophy for surviving the first encounter with a giant poisonous snake. Wait, first encounter? Finally, it was on the last mask, which involved a simple puzzle where you have 3 stained glass windows that correspond to a certain item on a 4th one that you simply have to press a few buttons with to get the colors to match. After that, You hit a button, the wall opens up, revealing the final mask is sitting there on the ground waiting to be picked up. Then, with all 4 masks, we make our way back down into the crypt, throw them on the 4 corresponding statues, awakening the Elder Crimson Head, the game's first boss. After playing the world's longest and deadliest game of Ring Around the Rosie, I finally managed to take down the Elder Crimson Head, which gets us the trophy, not just any object, but also the stone and metal object that we need to access the courtyard of the mansion. We make our way through until we reach a little house on the property where we acquire the crank, only to be knocked out cold and then wake up only a few feet away. Wait, yeah, what is up with that? Why knock us out and then only move us like a few feet? Anyway, and that's when we come face to face with Lisa Trevor. She hits as hard as she looks, so we try not to stay too long and manage to escape with our crank in our with our crank in our hand. I really did fucking write this, which allows us to drain the pool and access the residence. Thankfully, the residence isn't nearly as expansive as the mansion is, so it was a relatively straightforward process of getting individual keys that would open up a room that would give you some supplies, and a key to another room, until we moved some bookshelves and realized their residence is sitting on top of an underground lab that is experimenting with fucking sharks. We quickly solved the shark problem by sealing off the control room so that we can drain the water out of the lab, only to almost be eaten alive by one of them. So I decided to turn the food chain on him for once and fried his ass, getting me the Deep Six trophy for beating Mother Neptune? Wait, this was a female shark. And supposedly a mother as well. She was only trying to protect herself and her child. Oh God, what have I done? This is terrible. Maybe the real Resident Evil was me all along. Nah, fuck all that. We continue on until we get some items a hive of bees is guarding. So Chris decides to go the diplomatic route and give out free samples of his new cologne for the bees to try out. Man, those bees really didn't like that new Old Spice flavor. Anyway, but it doesn't matter. We get the key the bees were guarding and enter the room, only to be met by a giant plant that captures us, with us now taking control of Rebecca to save us through the power of chemistry. And I am ashamed once again to admit how long it took me to finally figure this out. So, but we finally get it together, and we managed to free Chris and earn the Bravo Rebecca trophy. With Chris free from the potential hentai spinoff, we blast this plant with some good old American iron and earn ourselves the trophy Herbicide, as well as the last key we need to open the last few doors in the mansion. We make like an egg and scramble our way back to the mansion, only to be introduced to a new kind of enemy, the Hunters. These things are basically humanoid reptiles that leap and claw at you, but we also earn the Who's the Hunter Now trophy for killing one. Luckily, these things don't turn into Crimson Head versions of themselves like the zombies do. Otherwise, this game would be a whole lot more annoying. One of the rooms we make a stop in is a lounge area with gems embedded in the eyes of 2 head mounts that you can only get out of as long as the moving eagle statue isn't looking at it. So we maneuver it and acquire both the red and yellow gems. The yellow one allows us to grab an MO disc from the tiger statue, and the other opens up this box that we use to solve a puzzle to get a key for a private study. But just as we enter this study, we hear Rebecca upstairs and rush to her aid, saving her life and earning us the That Was Nice of You trophy. So we make our way back down to the private study where we get the metal object as well as some other supplies. And then the next stop on this never-ending nightmare was this room that you have to push a statue in while the walls close in on you from both sides. Luckily, the walls won't crush you as long as the statue is in there with you, but you do have to run along the back of these walls, press a button which resets them, then run back and push the statue into the correct spot for the secret door to open and the walls to stop closing. This is also another time where it took me a long time to figure out that you could just put the statue far enough over and it would automatically like lock into place instead of me having to push it over and then into the slot. So after that, we enter the secret door and pick up a mysterious book with a gold medallion inside of it that looked like an eagle. Keep this medallion in mind because it will be important later. We interact with a tombstone that opens a secret passage to the basement of the mansion. We find the fuse box that lets us reactivate an elevator inside the mansion. We arrive back to find ourselves in the kitchen where the elevator is, so we use that to take ourselves back up to the mansion. And then next on the agenda was to use that key that we got to open the locked door that was past the pedestal that kept the armor key, leading us to the library and our last encounter with the giant snake. After killing it, we find a second book housing a silver wolf medallion. Again, keep that in mind for later. After that, we make our way back into the elevator hallway to acquire the battery and some ammunition to take with us when we go back to the courtyard, where we have to cross the pool to the area where a waterfall is so we can place the battery in a slot in a wall that powers this elevator to take us back to the courtyard area before the pool. Only now we have to go back and fill the pool, crank the pool back up so the waterfall will stop. And goddamn, how the fuck do the people who live here get anywhere in this god's forsaken place? Now in an underground labyrinth, which is number, I lost fucking count after a while, we make our way through and actually find another member of our unit, only for him to be shot a few minutes later while Chris just does nothing? Like, bro, at least try to run after the guy that shot him. Like, damn. Well, at least he left us his crank. Rest in peace, Enrico. So, using Enrico's crank, we turned the fucking cave walls into a usable pathway. Can you imagine the conversation the people had with the construction crews when they asked them to build this fucking monstrosity? So let me get this straight. You want me to make this section of the cave spin when you crank a set of gears? Like, the whole damn thing? Yes, that's correct. You don't want, like, a large steel door with a lock or something? Why would I want that? Well, I mean, clearly you want so people can't get easily through this area, and a large steel door with a lock is way more practical than what you're asking for. I mean, hell, we just got done building the gate in the courtyard that only opens when you turn the two Cerberus statues the opposite way by stopping two weather vanes in different directions. No, the rotating cave section is fine. I mean, is it though? Don't you have like 4 keys that each fit only like a quarter of the doors in the mansion? Not to mention that carving out this section of the cave would take months of hard, expensive labor and resources. Not to mention the danger. No, I think it's fine. Oh, by the way, when you're done, by the way, can you also make it so that a large boulder also comes like barreling towards you when you when you turn it enough? Man, Indiana Jones movies were so cool. We narrowly avoid our death and make our way through the caves until we reach the next boss of the game, Black Tiger. Yes, the name is quite ironic. We put it down and earn the Spider Sense trophy. We make our way into the next few rooms, only to be greeted by Lisa Trevor, yet again trying to kill us. But as long as you're careful and you can actually navigate around her pretty easily. So we make our way into another room, load up a crate where it gets sent out to be crushed. We pick up a broken flamethrower that gets put on a lever that unlocks a door, leading us into Lisa's room where we acquire a stone ring and a family photo with a note. After climbing out of that hellhole, we end up back in the little house in the courtyard where we can use his item box to pick up the metal object and combine the stone ring with it to create a second stone and metal object. Now with 2 of them, we can unlock the double doors underneath the staircase in the beginning of the mansion. Also remember to bring the gold and silver medallions with you. Trust me, you don't want to forget them. As you open the double doors and descend down, where you find Wesker fighting off Lisa. This boss fight is a lot easier than it seems when you realize all you really have to do is let Wesker distract her while you maneuver around and knock these 4 boulders off the edge, which was holding this stone coffin like lid on it. Lisa picks up her dead mother's skull that was lying inside of it and leaps off the edge, ending a very sad story and earning us an end to a poor girl's misery trophy. Wesker once again goes missing after this boss battle, but we press on until we reach a large fountain where we place the 2 medallions in their corresponding slots. draining out the fountain to reveal an elevator that goes down. We take it down, and now we have reached the last area of the game, the underground laboratory. Relatively straightforward. Once here, we make our way down and use clues from a room with a few x-rays to learn the username and password for a computer we then take to that information and unlock 2 additional rooms in the laboratory, along the way earning us 2 more MO discs in the process, as well as the laboratory key. We use that key on the only 2 doors it's good for before discarding it, and begin uploading passwords of the MO disc onto the computers to slowly unlock the large blast door at the end of one of the long hallways. Now, with 2 of the 3 MO discs uploaded, we make our way into the next area and dispose of a few more walkers before acquiring the empty canister, after which we make our way back into a room where we can refill it with a nitro compound that will explode if you run it. So, yes, that means we have to walk all the way back to where we picked it up at. But what they also don't tell you along the way is that you can't even shoot or get grappled by a zombie while you're carrying it, or it will explode, killing you instantly. Hence why we had to kill those zombies from earlier. We placed the refilled canister back into its slot and proceed to the next room. We upload the final MO disc password, and when we go and check and see what was behind the blast door, it's revealed to be none other than Jill. While we can't get her out right now, we do agree to come back for her and continue on turning on the power to an elevator. But just before we take it to where it goes, Rebecca shows up and teams up with us. We take the elevator and enter into a door at the end of a hallway, only to discover Wesker there typing away at some computers, and it's here we learn that Wesker and Umbrella, a large pharmaceutical company, and the ones behind all the freaky zombie experiments here, planned on bringing the rest of the Special Forces units, or STARS units as they're called, out to the mansion to kill them. Wesker proceeds to shoot Rebecca and almost shoots Chris before the Tyrant, the big gray naked thing in the tube, wakes up and stabs Wesker. I'd celebrate if it wasn't also trying to kill me, so we unload what we can into it and finally managed to bring it down. Thankfully, Rebecca was wearing her bulletproof vest. I mean, I guess it's just a good thing Wesker didn't shoot her in the face. With Tyrant dead, Chris and Rebecca decide to activate the self-destruct and blow the entire place to that one Imagine Dragons song, but luckily the self-destruct also deactivates all the locks in the facility, so we can finally go back and grab Jill out of her cell, also earning us the Sorry I Made You Wait trophy. Everything goes well. Chris, Rebecca, and Jill all head up to the helipad so Brad can finally come and get them with the helicopter, only for Tyrant to come back even stronger than he was earlier. But I mean, I guess it's okay. There's 3 of us, right?
Oh!
Well, never mind. I guess I gotta do fucking everything around here. So I get up and I start putting the smack down on Tyrant until finally Brad drops us a rocket launcher that finally puts an end to this monstrosity and earning us a whopping 4 trophies. You demand Chris for beating the game once as Chris. The nightmare ends for saving both Jill and Rebecca at the end of the game as Chris. Like taking candy from a baby for beating the game on very easy difficulty or higher. And Not in the Mood to Die for beating the game on easy difficulty or higher. As well as earning a new outfit for Chris, which is important for a trophy later on. This game is a bit weird when it comes to difficulty trophies. Like, I played the game on normal, but it doesn't give you the normal trophy. It didn't give me that trophy until the next playthrough with Jill, where I beat it on, like, the hardest difficulty at the time. So, yeah, that was a lot. But now we have to go back around with Jill this time, and this time, like I said, on the hardest difficulty available. I'm not going to go through every single thing that happened while playing as Jill, because other than a few differences that I'll talk about as we go, the way you play the game and get through the puzzles and everything is exactly the same. The main difference between Jill and Chris is that Jill has a partner that she interacts with a little bit more. His name is Barry. He shows up from time to time. He does even have a few trophies linked to him, like Rebecca had a couple linked for her and Chris's story. So, we proceed with Jill through the story, although in her playthrough I was able to break out the marshmallows and delaying the inevitable trophies. The first one for burning 2 zombie bodies with 1 use of the kerosene bottle. The other for actually saving Richard from his snake bite this time. We also grab all of Jill's boss-related trophies along the way. Gravedigger for the Elder Crimson Head, the Keymaster for Plant 42, Giant Snake got nothing for killing the giant snake, funnily enough. Trust him was unique because when you confront Barry down when you fight Lisa, because you confront him because he might be a traitor, and you could choose whether or not to give him his gun back or not. If you give Barry his gun back, it gives you this trophy. Admittedly, Jill does get the Where the Magic Happens trophy for breaking into the underground lab. I don't think Chris had like a breaking into the lab specific trophy, so she does have that. Sorry about the wait is her version of the trophy for getting Chris out of the cell in the underground lab. And lastly, just like Chris, we earned 4 trophies at the end of her run. Alpha Team's Finest for beating the game as Jill. I'm a member of Stars for saving both Chris and Barry at the end of the run. We're in this together for beating the game once as Chris and Jill. And Take That Zombies for beating the game on normal or higher difficulty. On top of that, we also earned a new outfit for Jill, just like we did with Chris. And sorry if I seemed like I kind of blitzed through Jill's version of the run, but like I said, other than a few extra scenes with Barry, the game really doesn't, the actual gameplay doesn't change that much. Plus, I'm going to have to go through this story like 5 more fucking times, so please give me a break. So, next on the agenda were the speedrun trophies, racing and pacing, and don't stop running for beating the game in under 5 hours and 3 hours, respectively. I played every speedrun attempt as Jill because she gets an additional 2 inventory slots as opposed to Chris, and those extra 2 slots make a huge difference when it comes to like the amount of backtracking you might have to do. So during the first run attempt, I also managed to grab the only other Barry specific trophy, What a Great Guy, where you have to save Jill as Barry. But I figured because of doing that, and because it was my first actual attempt at trying to earn one of the running trophies, and I wasn't really as practiced as I thought I was only able to earn the racing and pacing trophy. But the next run after that, I buckled down and managed to get the Don't Stop Running trophy. I was also able to earn the Every Woman for Herself trophy, which is where you beat the game as Jill and not saving Chris as Barry, as well as the Starsenal trophy for finally unlocking every weapon in the game. So next up was the 3 trophies I went for. I set the game to very easy difficulty. Hop off my nuts if you think that's a problem, I guess. These 3 trophies were CQC, FTW, Every Man for Himself, and Incus for Squids trophies. One's for beating the game using only the knife, and we all remember how solid the knife is. Not saving anyone is Chris, which is Every Man for Himself. You beat the game and don't save anyone. And Incus for Squids is for beating the whole game without saving. That was actually the reason, like, even though I played this run on like very easy, I was still kind of tense because all it would take was one critical mistake and I would have to start the whole run all the way over. Like, there was like one time, not on the no saving run, but there was one run where Lisa knocked me off the arena where you fight her at, and like I lost like 4 hours of fucking progress. So like I was a little nervous about that one, but other than that, this run was actually not that bad, and it was a nice little calm before the storm because the next difficulty I had to play on was the true survival difficulty. All right, so I goofed a bit. I'm sorry because I fully intended to like record my true survival run so that I could talk about it and stuff like that, but I just straight up forgot to record it. So I am sorry, but I did beat it and I earned 3 trophies from it. I earned the the Horror, the Survival Horror, and Passion for Fashion trophies, which is for beating the game on hard mode or higher, beating it on true survival, and the last one for earning all the costumes finally, because like there was like 2 other playthroughs where I only played as Jill, I didn't play as Chris, so like I had to wait all the way till now to unlock Chris's last costume that I needed. Then finally I did one last run as my boy Chris on the invisible enemy mode. This was also on very easy difficulty. if you have a problem with it, I'm sorry. But I did earn the last 2 trophies I needed as for the platinum. Every nook and cranny for visiting every single location in the game, which is what the trophy tells you, but that is a lie because the trophy actually wants you to visit every location and you have to loot every single item in every single room in the game for it to count, which actually meant playing it on very easy made it more tedious because the game would just throw items at you left and right. Ghost of Ghost of a Chance for beating the game on the invisible enemy and I wouldn't call it a difficulty, it's more like invisible enemy mode, which honestly wasn't too bad once you get going, which I know I played it on very easy, but like honestly, even if you played it on something like medium or medium, like if you played it on like normal, like once you get going, it's not that bad. But like that first little bit where you're trying to get used to the enemies being like invisible and you have to try and like learn where their positions are is like once you get past all that, it's actually not that bad. But after all that, I finally earned the platinum trophy, platinum's platinum. All in all, looking back at this game, I can 100% see why this franchise has gone on as long as it has. The haunting and oppressive atmosphere mixed with the survival elements of constantly having to keep track of how much resources you have is great. The puzzles and the overall mystery of like solving your way through this giant mansion is really challenging for both new players and for people who know the answers. It's great because it gives you a test as like if you want to speed run, it's really fun to see like how well you can circumvent all the obstacles. I will say I do think the bosses were a bit weak. The only with only like the tyrant fights, both versions of the tyrant fights at the end of the game really standing out the most. And the other one that got under my skin like on a personal level, I don't know if everyone would have this critique, but on a personal level, like the multiple static camera angles drove me nuts. Like the entire time I played this game, it drove me nuts. Hell, there's some spots and there's like some staircases that have like 4 different camera angles and they all change in like a second. You take one step and it changes. You take another step, it changes. It's like it changes 4 different camera angles in like in like a second, and like every time, and you know how it changes whenever the camera angle changes, it's you have to stop for a minute so you can refigure out how to realign your controller. Like it just, oh my god, it just drove me nuts. But that's more of a personal kind of, I just really didn't like that. I don't know if everyone else would have that same critique or not, but that's just me personally. But even with those critiques, I thoroughly enjoyed this game, and I'd recommend it for anyone like who's never played a survival horror game before. Hell, I'd recommend it for anyone in general because it's just so it's it's hard for me to describe it's hard for me to describe because I'm not really good at like describing my feel, like why I feel like it's good. Like just like, but I will say just play it for yourself, and I think if once it clicks with you, I think you'll understand what I mean. So, with that out of the way, thank you guys for watching, and just remember to do all the YouTube things like comment, subscribe, all that stuff. And I love y'all. I'll see y'all in the next one.